Hello, everyone, and welcome to Grow My Etsy Shop podcast. Hey, what's up? Thanks for listening. So if you are new to I don't know if actually, do people, you know what? I don't listen to enough podcasts to really know this answer, but I don't know if people just, when they listen to a podcast, if they go to the first episode and listen to it, or if they start at the newest episode, or they just pick a topic. I would assume they pick a topic that would be relevant to them and then make a decision of whether or not, because who would want to invest their time in a topic they didn't care about? So it's like, first episode, the intro, it's like, I don't care. Take me to something I care about. That's probably what it would be. So if you're new and this title, one of all the other titles out there, that this is the one you want to listen to, I've been doing growth reports for Etsy shop owners for the last, 6 months or so. And I've actually kind of phasing out of that. It's something that I was doing and it grew and it became way too much work. And so I've kind of closed my calendar and I'm actually working on some systems to be able to better serve and still be a normal human being. I should have listened to my own advice. I unfortunately did not set up for growth. And so I kind of ran into a wall. But the good news about doing these growth reports is that I've obviously gotten a lot of data from a lot of different people. And I feel like kind of as we reach the end of the year here that I just want to share with you some of the shops that I've been really impressed with and what they're doing and why I'm impressed with them. And some of the personality traits that I've, as I've been meeting with successful people or people who have a lot of drive and whatnot, and just kind of the personality traits of some of these people that I think good for you, that you have this. And I really feel like that's going to be something that's going to help them be, or the fact that they already are successful. A lot of the people I meet with they're a spectrum. They're either, I've never sold anything. I've met with several people who didn't even have an Etsy shop. They just, one person had a Shopify store and a brand, and then a couple other people were looking to open a Etsy shop. And then I've gone all the way down to people who've, been doing $100,000 a year type people and have a business that they're looking to grow. So I've been able to kind of just cherry pick, and it's just been an awesome experience for me. So anyone who's done a growth report with me, I hope that your experience was as rich as mine, because I genuinely do love to meet and just kind of see behind the curtains of what people are doing, and it's just been a really rich experience for me. Okay, that's mushy stuff's over. So let's jump into this. Before I do, this is kind of a funny subject as well. I actually had a growth report yesterday with someone, and they docked my profile picture of this podcast. She was really funny. she was like a computer science person, so that's what she was studying kind of before COVID. And then she's since kind of moved to her Etsy shop. And so she's like, Jared, I have this female mind, but I also, I get what you're trying to do here, Jared. Like, I'm a computer science girl, and love data, love analytics, all that kind of stuff, but like your profile picture does not connect with anyone. So if that's true, I kind of just want to throw this out here. Like, maybe I'll put, when I post this episode, I'll post something in my Facebook group that's like a poll of like, do you like my Etsy shop profile picture? If not, she said I should have a picture of myself on there. And I was like, heck no, that is so lame. Not to dog anyone who has a picture of themselves on anything, but I just find it's just what everyone else is doing, and I'm not nearly handsome enough to really get the drive that I think that would work. So I my thing's whole grow plants. Listen to plants grow when you hear the podcast. Anyway, I feel like I've rambled on long enough, so I'll put it in there. If you could just wouldn't mind jumping in there and letting me know your thoughts. Maybe I'll reamp my profile picture for the new year here. Anyway, okay, so let's do this. So I've kind of written these 3 shops down. I have these 3 shops that I kind of want to talk about because I feel like they did it better than anyone else I had talked to. One of the things we've talked about a lot on this podcast is just the ability to understand who you're trying to reach, right? And the power of that. In fact, the same girl I met with yesterday filled out the form when she did her growth report, and she was just so detailed on the type of person that she wanted to target that it was so refreshing. It was, instead of like, anyone who's interested in, my art, for example, it's like, no, this type of person. They like these other type of things. And realistically, we were able to go so much deeper into her shop because I was able to say to her, like, look, if you know this about your customer, like, now we can learn how to target them online. We can use social media marketing, go through the back office of Ads Manager and start to type in these interests that your customers like, and really get your product in front of them. So that was kind of a side tangent, but it was super refreshing. But one of the things that we talk about is once you understand what your target audience is into outside of your own stuff, you're able to really write descriptions that can sell to them, right? And as much as like the description, Etsy's kind of trying to slowly hide descriptions, makes like the font smaller and all this kind of stuff. It's a powerful tool used to sell. I say this a lot, but your listing pictures really should answer the questions. So when people go through your listing pictures, you shouldn't just post pictures of your product. You should be thinking like, what things do they care about? And then, of course, you take pictures of those things, or you could put little text in your listing so that it's answering questions. So you're moving them towards being more sold. I did an episode about this, but the idea is when they're done looking at your listing pictures, they should be closer to purchasing instead of just being like, wow, that's a nice product. It should really answer some of those questions. And then when they get into the description, you can like really start to move them. So I'm going to share with you a store that has done a great job at this. So you don't just have to hear me say it over and over again, but you can really look at this store. And good news, she gave me permission. So I'm not being a creep, just dropping this girl's stuff in here. So the store is called Colorful Therapy Tools on Etsy. And I will put a link in the footnotes. What is it called? Show notes. In the show notes. Colorful Therapy Tools. So what she does is she creates art meant for therapy. So you come into therapy and you essentially have these worksheets, and she makes them for therapists or that they can use. And so she has a system where people can come and buy. Anyway, she's a great artist. She has a great product. She's niched really well. But read her descriptions. They are great. And the reason that they're great is that the listing picture does a great job at showing what the product is, what its use is, how it's going to work, what you're getting, like all that stuff we do care about. The listing pictures solve it all. So then when it gets to the description, she just takes it one step deeper, where it's like, let me talk about this sheet and what it's going to do for your client and how it's going to help unlock some of this stuff for them. And I remember when I was reading her descriptions and when I met with her, I said to her, like, your descriptions were like addicting to me. Like I purposely clicked on her listings more than I should have. Like I kind of had my gist, was like, okay, I can check this off my list. And I was like, nope, I'm going to keep going. And I kept reading more and more and more because they were so insightful. And she said to me, they take me forever to write. And I said, noted. But I think it's part of why you're successful is because you've taken the time to really write these. So Colorful Therapy Tools, go check her out on Etsy. Again, it'll be in the show notes. That is someone who's done a great job with her descriptions and recognizing that that it's not just connected to the listing picture, but she's moving them the next step further, which I really appreciate. Okay, another thing that's a big deal on Etsy is your listing photo, right? The profile picture of a listing. So, of course, we look at one of the quickest places we get inspiration from is like looking at other people, going on Etsy, type it in and see what other people are doing, and be like, okay, well, that's what I'm gonna do. So when we do that, again, it brings back to my own profile picture of my podcast. Then we just look like everyone else. If I went and just took a picture of me with my arm up on a little mantle and my foot kicked back and big grin on my face and scale with Jared or, whatever, then I'm just one of those dudes. I'm just one of those little things, And so my thought process was, I want to be different. I want to stand out. What was funny is the girl said to me, you're the last podcast I listened to because I thought, it's crap. So that's what I don't want to be. Hence the fact where I would like you to let me know if that's who I am. I was just trying to be different. I was trying to stand out a little bit. Okay, anyway. So as I've looked at a lot of this, I've come to really appreciate some of the photography that people have. We've done full episodes about how to make your pictures pop and what stands out. I have a lead magnet somewhere. If you listen to the episode, it's called How to Pop on Etsy, I think. In the show notes there's a link that takes you to a doc. That doc, I actually used a focus group and had them go through the major keywords of Etsy, and they got to choose which pictures popped the most to them from the front page, and then I put that all together and wrote some notes next to it. So if you want to go check that out, it's under, I think it's like the second episode I did. You can grab that. But my favorite picture that I ever saw, that's a big statement, this year going through comes from a store called Backcountry Customs, and the owner of this store, Amanda is her name, and I have become good friends. So we have chatted a lot offline and whatnot. But look her store up, and you will see what her bestseller is. You'll catch it right off the bat. She was featured on a popular Instagram channel, and so what she essentially did is her customers she sells to people who are in weddings, and so they have professional photography. Her whole business model is like become really great friends with the people who she's selling this product to. She does a lot of back end value. She gives them links where they can find other products that match her product really well. She goes out of her way. She's a big, big, big believer in customer service, and quite frankly, she's extremely successful. So it goes to show how that's going for her. But part of this, while she's doing all this, is that because she's doing such a good job, these people have a relationship with her and they send her pictures. And then she takes the pictures of the product being used in real life and she posts it as profile pictures. And they're so great because the product itself, it's like cool. It's like, oh, neat. But it really needs to be seen in action for it to sync, for it to matter. And she has these great pictures of it in action, and then because of that, she was featured on a popular Instagram, and then she put that little Instagram it's featured in or is seen on this Instagram, and it really stands out in search. And I remember when I was doing her shop thinking like, whoo, that is a great listing. So go check her out, Backcountry Customs. What's funny is every time I just say her, she's listening. I bet she's dying right now because every time I say her name, I say it wrong. I always just like make up some weird name for her, but I made sure I had it right, Amanda. It is Backcountry Customs. So that's a great store, and if you're getting married, go check her stuff out. Okay, the last one that I want to talk about, and I think is a great example, and that's something we hit so hard in this, and realistically, it's something that I hit a lot when I'm doing growth reports as well, is that it is such a scary thing to niche because we think we're not talking to everyone. We legit think, and it's, I keep bringing this back. I'm so offended by this profile picture insult I received. Just kidding. But it's the same thing. When I go back to what I was doing, my whole thing was, I'm not trying to blend in. I'm trying to niche. I'm trying to be a little bit different. And so that's important. And a lot of times I get people who, they just want to make sure they're talking to everyone. And I want to make sure that other people, and they're usually a big question I get is like, well, Jared, how can I reach other people? How can I talk to other people? And I'm always trying to say like, no. How do we talk to more of these people? Not how do we go talk to other people? That's going to dilute your messaging. Let's talk to these people first. And if you've had a growth report from me, I'm a big believer of master this, own these keywords, sell this until it plateaus, until it's like, I'm making good money and it is plateaued. Now let's move forward, as opposed to every month get bigger, because that's when you can dilute your message really quick. Okay, so this store I felt like was the most niched store that I did. Now, here's a question. Are they successful? Yes, they do so well. And it's easier for them to make money than most of the Etsy shops that I talk to because of how niched they are. Their audience was perfect. And this is the other thing that I loved about them, is that they were themselves. They weren't trying to blend in with the other competitors. They weren't trying to do what they were doing. They own their product. It's part of who they are. It's part of their identity. And so their Instagram is really fun as well, because they're not just like posting pictures of their products, like, look at this cool product, But they instead, users have to check it out. Well, I can tell you, they are Star Wars people. And if they're listening right now, they know that I'm calling them out. Hyperspace Props is the name of their store. If this was the awards ceremony for Grow My Etsy Shop, I would say that they won for best niche. They do Star Wars, and they eat and drink and breathe Star Wars. And so their Instagram, I don't know anything about Star Wars, but I follow them on Instagram because they're so entertaining. They go to all these conventions. They make these great costumes. They dress all up. They're just 100% into it. And because of that, they have a community of people who are very interested in them, and they're able to sell to that community over and over again, and have done really well. Both of them, it's what their full-time jobs is. They had jobs, they quit, and this is what they do. And so go see what they're doing and understand the power of that niche. Now, not everyone's going to have that same opportunity, but some of you might. And to go jump in head first of what they're doing, it's awesome. Yeah, it's awesome. Okay, so I would say between descriptions, profile pictures, and niche, those are my favorites. Those three stores are my favorite. Now, I want to jump quickly into what qualities I have seen from Etsy shop owners that are successful. And so they all kind of have this similar thing. And I think I shared this in another podcast. If I'll touch briefly on this here, one of the things I have noticed is that the most successful stores have help. They have someone. Yeah, either a partner, a spouse, an assistant They have something that helps them. So I shouldn't say something. Someone that helps them. Where people get really bogged down is when they're wearing all the hats. That's really difficult. And we talked about this, in our Growing Pains episode. But that extra hand it's probably the most contrast line that I've seen. So if you're on the fence about that kind of stuff, just know it's really difficult to grow without that extra hand and that extra support. Okay, let's talk about this. So this is what I've kind of seen as the people who've been successful, what they have, what they understand, what qualities, and I've broken it into 3 things. 1, they understand time management. They're just good at it. And so if you're like, ooh, that's not a strength I have, that would be something as we enter into 2022 here that I would recommend getting better at. And that's okay. Not everyone's great at time management. My wife and I are very different. I don't know if I've ever spoke about my wife here, but my wife and I are very different. She is a chase the shiny thing, exciting, fun, happy, positive person. As you can see, I'm an analytical, look at everything before I make a decision type person. And so we balance each other off so well because I need to be pulled along sometimes and she needs to be slowed down sometimes. And so it works super well. The reason I bring this up is that it's a conversation I have with my wife all the time. Sometimes she'll be frustrated at her weaknesses, and I'll be saying to her, but your weaknesses are, you have these strengths, and because you have these strengths, they just are connected to weaknesses. And the same goes for me. I have a strength of being able to look at data and make decisions off of data, but I have the weakness of moving fast because I take my time to look at things. So it's not necessarily a weakness. It's just what's associated with your strengths. It's just connected to your strengths. So the same thing with you guys. Like, you may be thinking, well, time management's so hard for me. I'm no, whatever. My thing is like, look, it's just you probably have a strength that time management is connected to is a weakness of that strength. So all you have to do is just take some time and work at it slowly to better your time management. Okay, the next thing is patience. And this kind of goes along with time management. But those who are patient, I tend to see them grow. Those who run really quick, I tend to see them make a little bit more mistakes than success. There's sometimes we get really impatient, and when it comes to Etsy, that's hard because we're changing our listings, we're changing things, we're launching new products, we're trying to get into different categories and whatever it may be, and that's where it could really hurt you because Etsy is about, it takes time for Etsy to figure out, and it takes time for Etsy to care about you. And you have to present it data, present it what you're doing, proper SEO, all this kind of stuff. And if you're just kind of constantly changing and moving things around, it affects your store and then it burns you out. And that's a problem. So I find that those who really understand, I shouldn't say they're necessarily patient people, but they understand that they need to be patient. Those people tend to do really well. Okay, the last one is vulnerability. And this one is big. The people who I've had some, I'm not going to call anyone out, but I've had some growth reports of people who were kind of closed off and quick to justify, quick to say, no, that's not me. No, I don't do that. No. And then I've had other people who say, yeah, no, I know. And look, here, Jared, here's all this stuff. Can you help me? And I feel like in a lot of these people I do growth reports with, I stay in contact with afterwards. And I really feel like those who are vulnerable seem to get the most value out of what they're doing. So just know it is a terrifying thing to run a business and to put your name on it and to feel like you're going to be unsuccessful and all that kind of stuff. And so that vulnerability can go a long way for you in that. Okay, that was kind of a more, mindset, emotional episode. But I really feel like as we're kind of reaching the end of the year, these 3 shops can give you a really good idea of what you need to be successful. Those qualities are some of the things to kind of look at in 2020 or 2022. And I look forward to continue making podcasts and continue to help you guys grow. All right. See ya.